It's officially over for Florida. Buyers might finally be done with us.
Florida is becoming impossible to live in, and I swear it's being done on purpose.
Florida is so broke right now, people are literally financing their groceries like a car note.
Undocumented immigrants are here illegally. I don't care. Undocumented immigrants didn't raise the cost of living in the state of Florida 30% last year. Politicians did that.
People are fucking leaving. Like, we're all leaving. Rachel and I are leaving. Like, we can't fucking...
So this is a PSA to anyone who is really thinking about moving to Florida, especially if you have young kids. Don't do it. Don't ever bring your kids over here. That is child abuse.
Please watch his entire video. It shows you just the frustration of so many people in Florida, and how so many people in Florida, it's not reported in the news, it's not really talked about, but there are thousands and thousands of people preparing and getting ready to leave.
People will be like, oh, why do you want to move out of Florida so bad? And it's literally the beginning of April. It's already hitting the 90s.
Some Floridians tell us they're not looking back as they head north on I-95 in search of a new home state. Some say they're looking for a better quality of life, and others say it's a more affordable one.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel once again. So guys, right now we are now seeing that Americans can't afford to live in Florida because insane cost of living. So we all know what it is happening right now in America. Majority of Americans, especially the MAGA people, those white folks who voted for this administration, majority of them, they are really suffering. And right now we are seeing that some of the MAGA states, they are collapsing. Right now we are seeing that majority of Americans, they cannot afford to live in Florida because of insane cost of living. So kindly guys, I want you to watch this video and see how majority of people living in Florida, they are coming out and share how life it has changed in Florida. So kindly guys, watch this till the end, then I'll be back with more comment. I'm your host Dash Lifestyle. Remember to give this video a thumbs up. All credits goes to the original creator of the video. This video, it is only for educational purposes.
I am seeing more and more people leave Florida because of the crazy taxes that they have down there. Regardless of not having state income tax, it's more expensive to live because the property taxes are outrageous. The insurance for vehicles is outrageous. The insurance for homes is outrageous because of the hurricanes. So people are deucing out. They are getting out of Florida and heading north, like you, Vermont. So I hear you, man. I'm hearing more of that story every day.
$17.33. That's how much I paid today for this coffee. I'm here and I'm just adding some numbers together and doing my budget because you know what? Today I asked my husband, where's the money? We're making the best we've ever made. Both earners, both incomes, good incomes and everything. And we don't have money. We're living paycheck to paycheck basically. So I put the numbers together and I decided to look at my budget.
You shouldn't be moving to Florida, but if you do, please come with a job because the job market here sucks and the wages are absolutely insane for your level of experience. So I would absolutely not come here unless you have something locked up. Just don't think that you're going to get something within like a month or two. It takes months to land something. I guess depending on your industry of work as well. But just think about that before moving here. And the cost of living is really high. So
I don't know if part of Florida they talking about, but they got to be talking about Orlando. You got to have 4 different hustles or 4 different jobs for real to make it in this economy in Florida. They talking about gas has been the lowest it's ever been, baby. Gas is $3.19 where I live. And it's for these new kids. These kids cannot make it on their own. These new young adults, they have to make 3 times the rent, which the minimum wage is not. I don't get it. How is this happening? I think the 35 and older club has figured it out because we know you got to have more than one hustle. But as far as going into young adulthood, baby, that's not happening. I don't know what part of Florida they talking about, but they ain't talking about the Florida that I'm from. It got to be somewhere else. I mean, they probably bringing in the most revenue because of the tourist attractions and all of that. But when it comes to living, just the cost of living in Florida is high as hell, high as fuck. What part they talking about? What part of Florida? Because if you're just trying to go into the workforce right now, baby, it's hard to find jobs. I'm talking about it's going to be stuff that you just really do not want to do to be able to get a job. I'm talking about you got to have a morning job, a night job. You got to do house, sell plates, and all other kind of stuff right now. I'm just saying. But yeah, y'all, they say Florida is the #1 rank, state that is growing. I just don't know how. I mean, I guess DeSantis is doing his job. He needs to make sure he take them property taxes off, because why am I paying on property that I already own? So do I ever really own it? But that's a whole nother subject. Y'all know what to do. Get in the comments. Let's go. But what Florida, Florida Floridians, y'all tell me what part of Florida he talking about, because I don't see it.
If you recently moved to the Central Florida area, out of curiosity, what's your career? What do you do? I am a lifelong South Floridian, and I live in a multi-generational home because the cost of living here is absolutely astronomical, but I know it's also astronomical in Central Florida. Pretty much anywhere in Florida is wild right now. So what do you do? How do you afford it?
On June the 2nd, 2023, and I'm going to try to insert somewhere here the photo I took a shot of, how much I paid for it. On June the 2nd, 2023, the same exact coffee was $9.92. It's almost doubled in 2 years. Of course, my salary hasn't doubled. My income has not doubled. It went up a little bit, but certainly nowhere near that. And I don't know where my money goes. Every month, I'm struggling.
Undocumented immigrants are a drain on our social services. No, they're not. Because guess what? It was the politicians who actually cut $1 trillion from things like Medicaid with this big, beautiful bill. Undocumented immigrants not only can't use those, but they certainly couldn't vote on it. Undocumented immigrants are here illegally, and they're breaking the law only because politicians haven't actually found a way to actually speed up the process for undocumented immigrants to become legal. You've created a system where undocumented immigrants could stay undocumented so that you could use their labor as a cheap source to be able to build this country, and now you're trying to punish them while you've been monopolizing off of their cheap labor for decades.
Because Florida has just gotten ridiculously expensive, and it's #1. Yeah, Florida's #1 in inflation in the country. That's right. Florida is #1 in inflation. So here's a guy explaining how much it used to just cost to rent a small place, and it's more than doubled. And going to the grocery store is ridiculous. But just living all around Florida, when you're #1 in inflation, it's just one thing after another, after another, after another. And I have so many friends that live down in Florida, and many of them are just like, it's just too much. It's just gotten to be too much. We've had enough. We're moving out. So expect over the next couple of years a huge migration out of Florida. Yeah, you may still get some of the rich folk going down there, but the average Joe, no, the average Joe's leaving.
Florida has officially turned into the second most financially distressed state in America. Of course, only Texas beat them out. When I saw it, I thought, dang, Florida and Texas are in competition with each other to see who can treat their people the worst. See, here's the wild part. A new study found that 25% of Floridians are financing their groceries using buy now, pay later. You heard that right, loans. We finance cars, homes. Some people even do it to furniture. Now it's chicken wings, bread, and milk. Honestly, it doesn't surprise me, because when you look at Florida, a huge part of the problem is the elderly. And it's not like grandma can go get a side hustle at Amazon or the grocery store to make up for the money that she misses every month. The elderly don't have that option. It means that they're feeling the squeeze tighter than anybody else. And the squeeze is brutal. People are delaying payment, racking up late fees, filing bankruptcy, or just straight up not paying bills no more. That's not living paycheck to paycheck. That's survival on credit. And just note, it's not just a Florida story or a Texas story. When two of the largest states in the country are collapsing under the weight of necessities, that means it's a sign that it's happening everywhere. So if Florida is drowning while selling sunshine and palm trees, imagine what it looks like in states that don't have the tourism economy to fall back on. And quiet as kept, Florida ain't got it to fall back on no more either. So remember, America will sell you a dream, but it will make you finance the groceries just to stay alive. And if you think it's normal, then you've already accepted living in a nightmare.
Undocumented immigrants aren't the problem. The politicians and the government system is. Undocumented immigrants didn't create the problems. Politicians did. Undocumented immigrants in this country are here trying to create a better way of life for their families. Meanwhile, they're being punished and being thrown into cages for weeks at a time without seeing their family, without getting proper food or care. The politicians are convincing the Republican Party that it's a good thing, and it's not. It's a violation of human rights. How can you possibly
I saw this girl. She was like, I'm from Brooklyn. I just moved to Florida a month ago. People here are weird as We know! We've told you so many times to stop moving here, bro, because for some reason people look at Florida and they're like, oh my God, beaches in Disneyland every weekend. People really think moving here is a wonderland, and it's not. It's not. BBL baddies, YNs, and the old retired people that are mean and racist. Like, what else do you like? What else are you looking for? Rent is $1,600 for a 1-bed, 1-bath in a nice area, an area where there ain't guns and YNs running around. It's hot as which is why so many of us are so weird, because it's hot. It's hot and y'all are aggravating. Y'all ask dumb questions. You don't know where you're going when you drive. Yes, we're weird and we're angry and we're upset. Let us live. Nobody told you to move down here. In fact, a lot of the natives, 99% of them, will tell you to not move here. It's not for everyone. Why don't you come when you're on vacation and you can actually enjoy it, instead of moving here and expecting it to be wonderful? Because it's not going to be that way for everybody. Not everybody's built to live here, bro. Like,
I know that this is going to sound crazy, but I have been distraught ever since my husband told me that it would be career suicide for us to move from Florida to Indiana. Like, I really have been. And I know there's people who are going to be like, why would you ever want to leave Florida to go to Indiana of all places? And to that I say, why would you ever want to move to Florida? So my husband is a game developer. He makes video games, but apparently, even though he works remotely, you can't just do that from any state because of tax things. I don't know. But what I do know is that I feel like as long as we stay in Florida, my quality of life is never going to get better. In fact, I feel like my life is completely on hold. I can't even fathom the next part of our life, as in like starting a family or anything, as long as I live here, because I'm legitimately so afraid to be not only a pregnant woman in the state of Florida, but just to raise a family here. Florida just passed a 6-week abortion ban. So, you know, even if I wanted a baby, what if something goes south? I just don't trust that I'm going to have access to the healthcare that I'm going to need. Also, once that baby is out of the womb and ready to go to school, I'm afraid to send them. Not only are the school systems here terrible, absolutely terrible, especially if you don't have, you know, a couple, you know, 50,000 or more extra dollars laying around to send them to a private school. But I'm afraid that they're just going to go to school and get shot, just to be frank with you. Like, I'm afraid to go to the grocery store here. Okay, you don't even need a concealed carry permit here. Like, anyone can just, it's awful. My local Publix right up the street, the one I go to all the time, some guy was shot there in the middle of the day because he looked at some guy like he was crazy because he was driving crazy through the parking lot. So the guy was like, you know what? I don't like how you're looking at me. Bop, bop, shot him. Guess what? Got away. Still on the loose. And I don't even live in like a bad, quote unquote, bad area. Like, I live in like the suburbs. I live in a nice area. The cost of living here is astronomical. Last year, our home insurance told us that if we didn't get a new roof, they were going to drop us. Not that anything was wrong with our roof. It's just that it was too old. They didn't like it. So what do? We get a new roof. Then what do? They raise our rate by 40%. We do what they tell us to do, and then we are paying 40% more for the same coverage. Also, Florida is a no-fault state for car insurance. So even though I haven't had an accident or a ticket in 10 years, and neither has my husband, we pay $500 a month to have car insurance, even though he works from home. He doesn't even drive anywhere, except for that Publix where that man was shot to death. I don't know, living in Florida, if you are not ultra wealthy, it honestly just feels like treading water. It really does. And then the infrastructure, oh my gosh. The traffic is insane. Like, I want to move somewhere that's a little bit more rural. Okay, I will drive further to go to a Target if I have to, if it means that I'm not in traffic for 30 minutes to go 2 miles. Anyways, I'm just ranting. I really have been upset ever since he told me that for weeks, because I'm like, what do we do now? I don't even know.
Now, first of all, not only do we have the worst school system ever, The Republicans are actively trying to defund public school, and they're giving that money to charter school in which they don't have certified teachers. That is why we are dropping in SAT scores. And we are a state with the most banned books. However, the Republicans think we're not going far enough. And anyone can ask for these books to be banned. But not only that, if your kids are really not the smartest children and you don't see college in their future, you can start them working at age of 14 and they can have overnight jobs. I'm sure the Republicans are thinking, wow, this is such a great plan. My kids can work overnight shift. They can supplement the income into the home. Yeah, don't do it. Don't come down here. Blue states will always be smarter than red states. And that is a known fact. They will always have better schooling. They will always have better resources. Don't trust Florida. That is all. Bye.
The cost of living in this country is currently, it's not going to be, it is currently unsustainable. And there are people that they know this, but then they'll still look at somebody else that's struggling and then tell them they're not doing good enough. I want you to imagine somebody that makes $75,000 a year. That's a pretty high up wage in terms of top earners in this country, $75,000 a year. And we're going to go through some things here. This is a person with no debt outside of a car. And please don't hit me with the, you can go buy a car for, shut up, you can't, shut up, stop saying ridiculous things. An entry-level decent car is $30,000. So this person who puts $200 a month into insurance and they pay 5% into their 401k because shut up, people should be able to put money into their retirement. Because if you're not doing it now, you're never going to get to start doing it later. So after those two things come out of their paycheck, and their taxes are paid, they bring home $53,850 a year from a $75,000 paycheck. Average rent in my state for a one-bedroom apartment, because an adult should be able to live by themselves, $1,700. That car payment at 6% for an entry-level, very reasonable sedan, nothing fancy, a car payment's $579 a month. Car insurance, $240 or so a month for a lot of vehicles in this day and age. You're a young person, you've got a nice job, but the insurance companies still want to screw you over. Food. You only cook at home. You never, ever go out. You only cook at home and you only eat decent quality food because a human being should be allowed to eat decent quality food. You pay $879 a month for that. You spend $250 a month in gas. You wear and tear on your car $100 a month. $80 for your phone, $80 for your internet, $175 a month for your electricity, $70 for your water, $20 for your cash. You make $75,000 a year, and outside of a car payment, you have zero debt. Do you know how much money you have left over annually at a $75,000 wage? You do nothing. You don't own a Netflix. You don't go out on a date. You don't pay to go to a park. You don't go watch a movie. You do nothing. If you can't find it on the internet for free, you don't get to do it. If you can't cook it at home for your $800, you don't get to do it. You have $3,700 left over annually. That's like $320 a month. And there's going to be, well, that's $300. Shut up. Shut your stupid, contrarian, edgelord mouth. That's not a doctor bill, because God knows just because we have insurance doesn't mean that we don't still pay far out the ass when we go to the doctors. People like to be entertained. They want to date. They want to... There's those of you out there that will tell somebody living like this on $75,000 a year before taxes that they are not doing what they're supposed to do, that they should get a second job, that they should get a side hustle, that they should get a better job. And the fact that you would look at somebody with no debt other than a car and say something like this to them means objectively you're a moron and you live in a fantasy world. This is
And they're especially making homeownership so difficult. With the interest rates being as high as they are, we are also battling insurance prices being sky high, and people are completely priced out of homes that they could have bought 2 years ago or even last year. I have a friend that's selling her home because her insurance has increased over $10,000 in one calendar year with absolutely no claims. Car insurance continues to be high, and that's coming from somebody with a perfect driving record, no accidents. For the months of January and February, my electricity bill was over $250 for a 1,000-square-foot condo, and I am not even running the heat when I'm not home. Even if you can't afford to buy a home, going into a rental is absolutely insane right now. I am currently looking for a new place to live. I pay $2,200 a month for that 1,000 square foot condo, and my rent is increasing to $2,300 unless I find a new place. That, insane. And unfortunately, I'm stuck because there's no options in my kids' school zone that is in my price point. And the last thing that I want to talk about is the job market. I don't know if all these businesses took out PPP loans and they're just posting jobs for the heck of it to get the government off of their back or what, but I think this job market, at least in my area, and I mean, I've even for shits and giggles applied to jobs that I am overqualified for or my qualifications exactly match in other areas, and I am just not hearing back. I apply for anywhere from 3 to 5 jobs per day, any pay range. I don't care. Any qualification, entry level. I will compete with anybody just to get myself into a stable position and get myself into the door. I do have a job. I am working retail right now, but it is not paying the bills, which really sucks because I do have a lot of fun at the job. Call me a conspiracy theorist, but I think the reason why Florida is so difficult to live in right now is because the way they handled COVID. And I'm not talking policies. I'm talking the powers that be. Because we were thriving during COVID. Everything was fine. Job market was great. Everything was just flowing as if nothing happened and the rest of the country is struggling. I don't know, man. I'm over it.
New Census Bureau data shows as New Yorkers and Californians move in, among other out-of-staters, a number of Floridians are moving out. You traded in Florida for where?
Mount Pleasant, South Carolina.
According to Business Insider, U.S. Census Bureau numbers show between the years 2021 and 2022, nearly 739,000 people moved in and nearly 490,000 residents moved out.
Essentially double our square footage.
That includes young Florida families. Mom worked as a bartender, dad is special effects designer. In search of family, better finances, and desired schools.
That's really what forced our hand to sell our house in Florida.
South Florida used to be a place where you could stretch your dollar, get more sun and palm trees, but that's not the case anymore. I would compare it to a blend of New York, California, and Boston as far as expenses goes. And since the pandemic, we have an influx of about 1,000 people moving per day to the state of Florida. So many people moving here is naturally causing a strain on the housing market. The demand is very strong, but the supply is very low, even though inventory has started to tick up. You can see the single family houses sold in Broward, Miami-Dade, and Palm Beaches have increased year over year. In particular, in 2023, we reached our highest at 593,000 between the tri-counties. That being said, if you're a home buyer in South Florida, you need to at least earn $150,000 comfortably to afford a home. 3 major factors that are making things costlier here are inflation, higher interest rates, and home and auto insurance on the rise. Even though the inflation rate has been coming down, wages have not kept pace, which is really squeezing a lot of home buyers out of the market, in particular here in South Florida. And if you manage to buy a home here, you are subject to the highest homeowners insurance rates in the country. There is some good news if you're looking to move down here. Inventory has started to pick up, which is going to give more options to home buyers that are looking in the market. Couple that with the anticipation of lower interest rates in the near future, that could open up the enhancement of affordability here. With regards to homeowners insurance being the highest, they are working on legislation to bring that down by bringing in more homeowners insurance companies back into the state. By increasing competition on that front, they hope to drive down rates.
How bad are things in Florida? From a real estate standpoint, I'll tell you how bad. Lee County, Cape Coral, and Fort Myers. It's a small county. It's a small area. How many homes do you think are for sale in Little Lee County, Florida? You probably couldn't guess if you wanted to, but believe it or not, right now, there is over 24,000 homes for sale in Lee, the most ever. There's never, ever in the history of Lee County been 24,000 homes for sale. And that tells you the dire situation that is going on, not only in Lee County, but around Florida. Because let me ask you another question. How many vacant homes do you think are in Florida right now? Vacant, no one inside. How many? 500,000? 800,000? 1 million. Those would all be wrong because it's double that number.
Ron DeSantis, y'all need to do something about these rent prices. There's no reason that people's rent should be more than somebody's mortgage. It's crazy in South Florida right now. Y'all making it so hard for people to afford to live on their own. You got to work 2 and 3 jobs. You got to do Uber. You got to do this. You got to do that. That's crazy. Rent prices in South Florida and Florida, period, need to go down. President Trump, Ron DeSantis, this message is for you.
Let's talk about the cost of living in Connecticut versus the cost of living in Florida. Because while 99.5% of my comments are all positive and a lot of Connecticut pride and you're making the right decision, blah, 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 there are occasionally people, not this comment specifically, this one was fine, no negative intent, I feel like, but there are some people like, you'll regret it as soon as your tax bills come. You'll regret it once you get your first Eversource bill. You'll want to go back to Florida. So I just wanted to go over some things that we pay in Florida that people who live up north might not realize. One, I understand the cost of heating a house during the winter, but have you ever paid for an air conditioning bill for a house for months at a time to cool down home during 100 to 115 degree days? And it's not like a heat wave that happens in Connecticut for like a couple days. No, this is months at a time. Walking around outside right now, it's already 90 degrees. You literally feel like you're in a convection oven, and we are nowhere near the peak. It's going to be this hot until November. It's unbearable. You don't want to leave the inside of your home. Next is the cost of private school, because if you want to have the kind of education that you get in Connecticut for free, you're going to be paying for private school, and that could be anywhere from $10,000 to $30,000 per child per year. Next is home insurance. It is actually a lot cheaper, I'm finding, for home insurance in Connecticut. And also, you don't have to pay for things like flood insurance. Almost every house in Florida, especially in my area, you need flood insurance for, in addition to your home insurance. Next is the price of evacuating and taking care of your home during hurricane season. It might have been worth the risk when you were younger or single or didn't have kids, but when you have kids and you have a Category 5 hurricane coming towards you, you have to evacuate. Who's paying for those hotel bills? Who's paying for their Airbnb bills? Not the government, you are. Who's paying for all of that lost food from when your power goes out? Not the government, you are. Try to get anything out of FEMA is they make it so hard. It's jumping through so many hoops, and if you don't own your house, then it's almost impossible. The lost wages from work, etc., etc. Hurricane season sucks once you have kids. Next is healthcare. I made another video about this recently, but when I applied through Access Health, I got Husky B for my 3 kids. That is not Medicaid. It's the state-funded CHIP, Children's Health Insurance, whatever, for my 3 kids for $50 a month. When I inputted all of our information through the marketplace, which is Florida's public healthcare, it was at minimum $286 per child. You get a tax credit, right? So we could apply whatever money they were giving us to the kids. And you can play with this. So it was at minimum $286 per kid, but it could go up to like $600 something per child, depending on the plan that you pick. So those are just a couple things. I'm sure that there are more things that we have to pay for here that I'm not even considering. But yeah, to all the people that post daily on my videos being like, the taxes are outrageous here, you're gonna be paying so much more. We've thought about it, okay? We have done our research. We know what we're doing, okay? Thanks for following along.
I don't know who needs to hear this, but yes, if you move to Florida, you will escape the winter blues, but you will not escape the spring, summer, and fall blues, because you will be so hot, you're gonna be stuck inside the whole time.
I just drove my car with my AC all the way up with the window open, and my whole back is still sweaty. It's fucking wet. My phone is already getting warnings that it's overheating. Y'all, it's not even late spring yet, and it is getting miserably hot. Now, hey, if I had the money to have a home in 2 locations, I would so do that. I would be like one of those snowbirds who comes down in Florida during winter or whatever. Like, that would be fun. But guys, if you've never lived a Florida summer, you can't talk. It's ass, okay? It's so ass. Like, the humidity and the heat combined is a brutal combo. Trust me when I say I want to get out. I want to get out. This is not nice. This is not fun. Oh, and actually, now that I put my hair back, another thing. I have tinea versicolor, and it gets worse in hot, humid weather. So, you know, once springtime hits, I usually get more flare-ups or whatever. If you don't know, it's basically like yeast overgrowth. I have to apply this medicated shampoo on it for it to go away, but that's also not fun. But yeah, it's just like too hot here. And I know that extreme cold climates are not ideal either, but like, man, something about being hot just like makes people extra angry. I feel like when you're cold, you're like too cold to think. That's not good either, don't get me wrong, I would hate that too, but like, it's very different. Like, I can kind of understand why people get extra mad on the road here, because it just gets so hot. Like, it gets so miserably hot in my car. Mind you, I will say I need to get a new car. Like, I need a car with better AC. My AC does work, but it doesn't work well. So it's not worst case scenario, but I am struggling already in the spring. So I know in the summer, like, I'm gonna have to fucking get a new car. Like, I can't keep up with this shit. And then to top it off, there are people who are not showering every day and putting on deodorant, or like, I don't know, putting on natural deodorant or minimal deodorant, whatever, and they stink up the whole place, and then it pisses off everybody even more. So yeah, that's why I am trying to save up to leave this place.
Florida living is not where you're supposed to come to make a life for yourself. I've seen 2 videos where 2 young ladies were talking about how hard it is as far as the job market. One was a nurse, and I will say, if you're a nurse working here and working for like a hospital or any sort of privatized, I guess it's privatized, like doctor's office, etc., I don't think that's the best solution. When I was reading the comments, I make more than nurses, and I don't have a degree. I'm a claims adjuster, property claims adjuster, and I actually worked with somebody that used to be an RN, and she was stressed out. She was an ER nurse, and she switched over to be a claims adjuster, and she makes more as a claims adjuster. Like, I just would look into supplementing or doing something else. The other thing is, Florida is, even the governor said, this is where this is God's waiting room. It's for older retirees. That's what it caters to. Tourism, older retirees. That's what it caters to. It does not cater to younger families, right? It definitely doesn't cater to single people, especially single people with children. Somebody was like, having 3 children in Florida is just like diabolical. I have 6. Yeah. So this is not a place. When I wanted to move here, first of all, I'm from West Palm Beach. So I'm from South Florida, where it's like, that's Mar-a-Lago. I think that's where Trump has property. I wasn't moving back there. Like, gas, grocery, and everything is expensive there. I did my research on the top places to live in Florida if I wanted to move back. And at the time, the interest rates and property prices here were much lower than they are now. But where there's an influx of people, like an influx of people talking about, oh, move here, you're gonna see expenses rise. And that's for everywhere. People are complaining about the fact that everybody from California moved to Texas and ruined it. Anytime it's a group of y'all moving places, y'all gonna ruin the cost of living, right? Then this is also a boom for influencers and like YouTubers. They want to move somewhere fun and sunny, so they move to Orlando. So it's more expensive. So it's not set up for people that cannot afford it, or that are just trying to like make a living, a regular wage. It's not set up for that. You're going to have to work 2 to 3 jobs, have a side hustle, and do a little fraud on the side. The hell?
People have legitimately made it so awful to live in Florida. I've lived in Florida the majority of my life, on and off. And I'm telling you right now, like, Florida used to be so gorgeous. We used to have mossy trees, like in Central Florida, lining the road of ranches and farms. And we used to have farmers markets, like huge farmers markets, where you could buy fresh, cheap produce, like for like pennies on the dollar. We used to have so many mom and pop restaurants of like different cultures, like so many like local Mexican restaurants, so many local like Puerto Rican restaurants, Cuban restaurants, Italian restaurants, like literally everything, Greek restaurants, so many mom and pop places from so many different cultures. It was awesome. There used to be barely any traffic in my city. Like, you can get wherever you needed to go within 15-20 minutes max. And now, because of overdevelopment of the land, farmers are being pushed out, and a lot of their land is being bought up and turned into like apartment complexes that are overpriced. And so we have hardly any farmers market anymore. In my area specifically, there's hardly any farmers left. I know someone personally who was born and raised in Florida, and their house has been bought up twice by, I think, like the state or the city or whatever, so that they could build roads where their house was. Twice in their life, once in the Panhandle, once in Central Florida, their house was bought up, each time by force, so that they could build a road where that person's house was. The fact that it happened twice just in one person's life is freaking insane. A lot of the people who were born in Florida and raised here, they're moving out because they can't afford to live here anymore, because the prices are getting so jacked up on housing in general. 5 years ago, you used to be able to rent a 2-bedroom apartment in my area for like max $900 a month. Now it's $1,500 easily, $1,700 average. Not to mention, because they keep cutting down so many trees, they're destroying natural habitats, and it's getting hotter here because we have less trees. So everybody's utility bills are skyrocketing. And manatees, they're endangered now, and they're literally washing up on shore, starved, unalived, because their food sources are being destroyed
by the overdevelopment of the land. Not to mention the red wave of people that moved down here during COVID because they didn't have a mask policy down here. Like, there's so many MAGA now, it's insane. And listen, I don't care if you're a Republican, like a traditional Republican, I don't care. I don't really consider myself anything, like if I have to put myself in a box, I consider myself a leftist. But I don't like the two-party system, and I've voted both ways before. But there's a huge difference between traditional conservative and MAGA. And what we have down here now in Florida is pure MAGA. And this state used to be a steady purple, and now it's a pure red. And if anybody in public knows that you voted left in any way, shape, or form, 9 times out of 10, you're gonna be harassed. And don't get me wrong, there's always been like racism and like bigotry down here because it's the South. It's always been down here. But people are out and proud about it now because there's so many MAGA people down here. Like before, if you said some like messed up shit like that at work, you would lose your job and you would be publicly shamed. Nowadays, if you do it, nobody cares. You don't get in trouble for it. Now, of course, this is most of the country. I'm just saying, it's gotten especially bad in Florida. It's just overall really sad looking at what Florida used to be when I was a kid versus now.
Here's the real question. If millions of families are going into debt just to eat, what does that say about the true health of the U.S. economy? A new survey shows that about a quarter of Americans are using buy now, pay later apps like Klarna, Affirm, and Afterpay just to buy groceries. We are not talking about sneakers and vacations. We're talking about milk, eggs, and pasta on a payment plan. And that number is climbing fast, which means more and more people literally can't afford food up front anymore. Let's be honest, Wall Street might look fine, but Main Street is starving. Call me crazy, but I would love to live in a society where moms don't have to worry about feeding their children, where dads don't have to work 10 jobs to make sure that Eggos can go in the toaster in the morning. That would be my ideal society, but I know I'm a little crazy.
Florida just ranked as the second most financially distressed state in the entire country, only where Texas is worse. It's not just an opinion, this comes straight from Google data. So what does financially distressed mean? It means more people are struggling to pay their bills, searching for payday loans, rent help, credit card relief, you name it. They are going to Google for help, and Floridians are struggling to survive here. And let's be real, it's not just hard to see why. Rents in Florida have skyrocketed. Groceries and insurance are completely out of control. Wages really haven't kept up. Families are working 2, sometimes 3 full-time jobs and still can't get ahead. Meanwhile, Florida politicians brag about cutting taxes for the wealthy and corporations, while everyday people are drowning. And in Texas, where things are even worse, it's the same story. Leadership that ignores working class struggles while protecting big business. Now, this matters because these states are often held up by models of economic success. But the reality is people are just being left behind, and the data proves it. If the so-called Florida model is leaving people broke, maybe it's time we rethink what success really looks like. Be sure to follow along for updates.
The pattern all starts here in Florida.
If you make $200,000 or less, our area is challenging. It's challenging to live in our area, and it sounds absolutely bananas coming out of my mouth, but that puts you in an extremely different income bracket to the states just north of us or within a short drive of us.
So what do realtors just north and west of us say in North Carolina?
How many Floridians are you talking to?
More so now than I'd say 3 or 4 years ago.
South Carolina.
Seem to be a hot spot for Floridians. What I hear mostly is just quality of life issues.
To the Georgia-Carolina line.
At closing, I mean, all she talked about was just insurance.
Into Georgia.
It's always like a wow moment of, hey, this house in Florida would be $200,000 more just for a little starter home.
Even to Alabama.
I have heard that they're sad about the idea of not being able to see the beach, but because of the affordability, they've had to work such longer hours. The hope is that they're going to move here, have a better life.
Realtors also mentioned those who may have dipped their toes in the Florida water.
Some of them moved to Florida kind of looking for something different, maybe from up north, and have come sort of halfway back up.
We call those halfway backers.
Well, the dust continues to settle. It's a big move if you've dedicated decades of your life to living somewhere to uproot. What would you tell other Floridians?
It was a really positive experience, to be honest with you. A little scary at first, 40 years in Florida.
The grass isn't always greener. We recently spoke to Leanne McLaren, who went to the Carolinas and back.
Really think about it before you do it, because I
kind of did it on a whim, and now buying my house back would be double.
Every time I come to Florida, I feel as though the things are gonna get even more expensive. I've probably been to Florida maybe 8 times in the last 3 years, and every time I come, things get expensive. Come here, I go to supermarket, I'm going everywhere. But like go grocery shopping every time I come down here. I feel like things will get expensive. Minimum wage just turned $13. If minimum wage is that low and things are so high, all people afford it. That's what me want to know. I feel like me I spend money on New York with the price that me I see. And minimum wage again, people not making that much here to be able to afford that cost of living. So or it really I go. I know a lot of New Yorkers had moved down to Florida with their New York pay, but a lot of people them are called back people in the office now, so people have to get local jobs in Florida. So no, they can't be like afford it anymore because no, they're making the minimum in Florida for certain jobs. They don't have the luxury to spend their money or they used to spend it. Let me know because I'm visiting. I always come to visit. If you live in Florida, let me know. Come feel like it's stuff them is very much expensive. I know people not get unless like you have investments and stuff, whatever things going for yourself, fine. But to be working a regular job down south, come know even the same is for South Carolina, North Carolina. I know everything's expensive everywhere. Like people can't catch a break.
I've got less than 3 months here in Florida. I'm going to keep my word. I am going to leave Florida. I don't want to live here anymore. I don't want to be here in July when it's hotter than heck. Okay, you guys all told me on one video of all the different places that, the states that you lived in and gave me the good qualities and everything. But one thing I forgot to tell you, I need to work wherever I go. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do my ride sharing, that I'm doing like I'm doing now. I need the extra income. So I need to be going to a state that has to a city in any state that has a metropolitan feel. There's got to be a lot of people taking these ride shares. I need that. I can't go to a little teeny town and make any money. So it's got to be like a Chicago, or it could be a suburb close enough to Chicago for me to get there, like within an hour's drive. I just need to be near a lot of people. Okay, one of my concerns is I know up in New York and Chicago and all up those places that it snows. Do people drive in the snow? I know that I've never done this before, but do people actually drive in the snow? What do people do in the wintertime? I'm thinking maybe in the Midwest, I don't know. I'm not saying no to snow. I'm just saying no to heat, and I want to get out. And I don't want to be in California either. I'm done with California, did too many chapters of my life there, and I've done a whole decade almost here in Florida. I'm done. I need somewhere else to go. Somewhere not so hot, somewhere not too expensive, somewhere where I can meet people. What do you guys think?
So guys, I hope you have watched and see that video and see how majority of Americans, they are coming out sharing how America it is changing and how right now Florida life it has turned into. You guys can remember Florida, it has been always a very beautiful place. Majority of people that have been living there, but right now we are seeing majority of people, they are really avoiding to go in Florida because of the cost of living, because of houses rent it is high, and also the cost of living in Florida right now it is very high. So majority of people, they are now deciding to move out of Florida, and all this it is because of how these MAGA people, especially those people who have been voting Republicans right now, these people that have been voting against their own interests, these people that have been voting to increase the housing rent, but right now we are seeing also them, they cannot afford to pay that house. So these people, they thought that for them, they will the government will make easy for them to pay some of the housing. And right now we are seeing that this effect, it is not only affecting the black people, also it is affecting those MAGA people, those white folks who voted for this administration. And also, guys, I have some of the comment here that I wanted to read for you and see what majority of people they are coming out and say. So this one is saying that people can't afford to live anywhere these days. Yeah, these days in America, it is so hard. The other day, I've been showing the video of Las Vegas. Also, people, majority of the tourists, they are avoiding to go Las Vegas. Why they are avoiding to go in Las Vegas? It is because of how things it has turned, how things have really changed in Las Vegas, because things it is very expensive. House it is expensive. The high there it is a high cost of living in Las Vegas, and Las Vegas right now it is empty. When you see the airport in Las Vegas, it is empty. The tourists are avoiding to go in Las Vegas. So right now it has also started to affect Florida. We are now seeing how people that are coming out and telling us how Florida things have really changed in Florida, and this is to tell you that when it continues to goes like that, people will also moving out. Majority of people will be moving out of America because of how things they are in America. So this one is saying that I moved to South Florida for 3 years and almost went homeless for the first time in my life. Cost of living is outrageous. Weather is horrible. Mold will kill you. Mold will kill your lungs. They pay you a penny and work you like a dog. No job protection, and landlords nickel on and time and deem you for everything. Go the heck out of. Don't do it, people. So you can see this one has really have a bad experience in Florida. So in Florida, things are really changing. So this was saying that world of personal experience, avoid hurricane prone state. Yeah, so this one is saying that tell me about it. I've been in Central Florida for the past 34 years. Right now is almost impossible living here. Greedy developers push us out. Yeah. So this one saying that my wife and I are on SS. We only bring in 2.25k a year. We are in trouble. So this one is saying that I left Miami in 2012 and I don't regret it. My property tax are only 800 in South Carolina. Yeah, so this one is saying in South Carolina, at least he's living there at least a better life. So this one saying that I am almost 51 and was born and raised here in Florida. Wish I had left when my kids were little, but now that they have their own families, I couldn't bear to leave them or my grandbabies. It's never been this bad here that I can remember. So you can see also the elderly people, they are really now seeing the different, and it is becoming very hard in Florida. So these are some of the stories that people in Florida, they are sharing how it is. Right now, we are now confirming that it is true that things are really bad in Florida. So these are saying that I have lived in South Florida for over 60 years, and to me, I stopped being cheap to live in Miami after we were hit with Hurricane Andrew in 1992. It was after that that apartment rents really started tickling upward quicker than usual. Now they say you need to make about $10,000 per year to be able to afford a decent 1BR apartment, be comfortable. Yeah, you can see, guys. So you need to make this kind of money to per year to be able to afford a decent one bedroom apartment and be comfortable. So this one saying that I left Florida 10 years ago. So happy I did it. So this one saying that he really knew what it is coming and he left Florida. So this one is saying that I don't want to leave Florida, but I pay 80% of my SS check to rent. I can barely afford to keep my 10-year-old car insured, and I am screwed if it breaks down. I am sick of being stuck inside all summer and only having 3 months of decent weather, where I don't have to start out at 7 a.m. To get things done so I don't roast. I just want a place I can afford with friendly people and cheaper cost of living. Yeah, so this one is saying that senior have been screaming this for a few years. Nobody listening. Price have been rising slowly for about 8 years. Yeah. So this one is saying that the truth is, even if you buy a house or land and pay it off, you still don't own it. Well, you do in the sense that you are responsible for it. But if you fail to pay your property tax, the power that be will take your land from you and move you off it. Ownership in this case is an illusion. So this was saying that everything has double and triple in price. Yeah, so this was saying that the hot humidity bug lizard, not to mention that tax horse and insurance, what dumpster fired of a state. Yeah, so this one saying that I prefer winter. You can layer and be fine. The snow blanket everything and it is serene. So this one is saying that some landlords are still asking 3 times the rent to move in. My landlord continually increasing the rent up 300 every year since COVID. Everything they are saying is true about, and Miami, Florida is the worst. Forget about retire. No way can anyone afford to live comfortable. So you can see these are people who are living in Miami, Florida, and they are confirming to us that it is true things. It is very expensive in Florida. So this one is saying that everything that I said in this video is true. I am on my way out of Florida. There are no jobs, and if you do find a job, it pay a very little. Insurance for cars and home in through the roof. I wouldn't advise my worst enemy to live here. It's a bad. So this one is the one of the person who came out and gave us a video, and he has come out also in the comment section telling us exactly. So this came that Hannah Drum 3015. Yeah, so thank you so much for also telling us exactly. I have always said Florida is the most overrated state in the country. Yeah, so this one saying that my brother lived there and loved it here and loved it. He stayed stone most of his life. Wait, you mean to tell me Trump didn't make everyone rich there too? Yeah, so this one is saying, also here that my brother moved to Florida 23 years ago and he loved it. So this one saying that Florida used to be cheap for a reason. Bug hot as a sauna, hurricane, etc. How can anyone have quality of life living in a sauna? So this one is saying that I live in Florida since 2010. It's not because of anything other than the corporate greed. So taxes in home owners insurance and car insurance is a joke, a complete disaster thanks to those rich corporate pricks. So you can see people are confirming that things it is not the same in Florida. And also guys, you can share your thought on the comment section. Tell me what do you think about this video of today, how things are really in Florida. Remember to give a video a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't. See you on my next one guys. Bye bye.